Hello, I'm Mark, and welcome to the second part of my Questlog UI video. So, I really wanted to try and get this tracking component into part 6 of the video of this tutorial series, but unfortunately, the time was kind of running on beyond an hour and a half. So, I really like to keep my videos between 30 minutes and an hour and a half, if possible. But time was really ticking, so I made the choice at the last minute to split this one out into a 6B, I guess. So what we're going to be doing in this video is we're just going to go ahead and make that little tracking component, kind of finish things off. So if we pulled up the quest log here, you know, we've got our little tracker, little button here, and that's all hooked up. So what we now need to do is we just need to create a little widget which could sit in our UI so that when we click on that, it will then start showing the things that we want to track. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with this tracking component. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and close this since we don't need the quest log anymore. Let's come into the content drawer. I'm going to go third person blueprints, and under UI let's go ahead and create this new tracking component widget. So to do that, I'm just going to right click, go to user interfaces, widget blueprint, and under here I'm just going to use the standard widget user widget, and we're just going to call this BP WB underscore what am I going to call this? Quest tracking widget. Alright, so hopefully that should do it. Alright, cool. So let's come into the widget. So this is just going to be very similar to the progression widget. The only thing is that we don't need any kind of message queuing. So again, this is just using a standard widget. So to do that, let's go ahead and create a container for our list, and that's going to be done in a size box. So I'm just going to go grab our size box here, drag and drop it. And this size box, I'm going to go ahead and use the size of 400 by 300. So if we just click on the size box, let's override the width and the height. So we'll go 400 and 300. I'm going to hit enter to make sure that goes in. And then on full screen, I'm just going to go to desired on screen. So that's the size that it's going to look like on the screen. So let's compile, save. And then next, let's go get ourselves a little border so we can put a background on here. So there's our border. I'm just going to drop that in, and I'm just going to come under the brush color, and I'm going to be going with our kind of like our gray translucent color. So that's the number here. I really do like this little palette save. As you can see, we've got lots of different colors here that I've been kind of using. This really does kind of speed up the time. So I'm just gonna hit that, hit compile and save, and then the last thing we need is that list view. I really do like this list view. Really good time saver as well when it comes to UI. So I just like to put a little prefixes. This is just a holdover from my old school UI developer days. So I'm just going to put that in there. As you can see right now, we've got a little compiler error because we don't have a subcomponent. So let's go ahead and fix that. Actually, first off, let's go ahead and put a little padding around here. So I'm going to take this off the border a little bit. So that does that. Everything else is filling in nicely. So okay, so right now it's saying that we don't have a entry widget class specified. So let's go do that. So I'm going to come to the entry widget class. I'm not going to reuse any of these because this is specific. So let's go to the little plus key on the right hand side of the drop down and hit that real quick. It's going to give us a little pop up under third person blueprints and UI. Let's go ahead and create this. So WBC tracked quest. So this is just gonna be a very, very basic little component. But if you wanted to put more information in there, you can. Come on, compile. There it is, and hit save. So let's go ahead. So I'm going to come back to the quest tracking widget first, and then we'll go ahead and define the UI for that once we're done with the code here. So within the quest tracking widget, I'm just going to come in. I'm going to remove the construct and event tick since I don't need those. Going to hit compile and save, and I'm just going to do everything off pre-construct. That way, once we start building this out, and we can, then we'll get an idea of what that's going to look like. So under pre-construct, I'm going to first get the player controller, because that's where I put my quest log in the player controller. Again, that's just where I like to keep all of my player specific information, and then off there I'm going to say get. So I'm going to use the get component by class. So you could do this. The other option would be that we could cast this to an interface, but no, we'll just use this one, which is component by class. And then I'm going to say core quest log. There it is. So this is now going to go into that class. It's going to find the core quest log for us, and it's going to pull it back. So then I'm just going to do this and promote a variable, and let's give this variable a name called quest log, so we know what it is. All right. So what's going to happen is that we're going to call this, call that. This is going to pass back the quest log, and of course I'm just going to make sure that is valid. So we make sure that this component is instantiated. All right, so from here, once we have the quest log, let's just drag this off. What we need is the event binding for our onUpdate tracker UI. So onUpdate tracker UI. So this is an event that we created in the C++ on the quest log, so that when any of those quests that the quest log is managing has a update or is being tracked, right? So when we say we want to track this, we go into the quest log component, the component adds it to the list. As soon as it's added to the list, it fires a delegate, which will then come up to here, so that we can then create a dispatch off it, which will allow us to then tell it to refresh the UI. So from there, all we're going to do is we're just going to say, let's create the dispatcher. Event dispatcher, so here it is, and we'll create a matching event just to keep everything here. So this is going to be update. I'm just going to call it update tracker. And I'm also going to call update tracker here as well in the pre-construct. And the reason why I'm going to do this is that if we reload a game, right, and you already had things on the track, well, when this widget gets created, it would automatically go ahead and just fire this to go and rebuild it. So that's kind of why that's there. So we're doing it in two places. This is the event whenever we add and remove, but we're also going to just fire this. That way we can keep the same piece. We can reuse the same piece of code in two places. And that piece of code is right here. So let's go ahead and get our tracked quests list, and let's go ahead and make sure we have a clear. So this is clear out. We're going to make sure that we clear all the list items out if there are list items in there. So again, if we're doing an update, we're just going to clear it all out and then rebuild from what's in the list. I'm also going to go grab our quest log since we now have it. And I'm going to say get all. So on that quest log component, we created a function called getAllTrackedQuests, and all it does is it just brings back an array, I should say, of object IDs that we can then just query on. So here I'm just going to say I want the length. So this is the number of items within the array, and I want to do a quick little check to say if they are greater than 0. So if we have items in the array, right, so if the array length is greater than 0, then I'm just going to hit the branch, grab it, then we want to show this component. Otherwise, if we don't have anything greater than 0 in there, then there's no point in us showing that information. So I'm just going to go grab this, I'm just going to put that there, pull this over a little bit. Alright, so then all we need to do here, if this is true, then I'm going to say set, set visibility. We want the set visibility function, and I'm just going to set this to no hit test visible self and children. What this does is it just says that if I have a mouse component in my UI, I can't click on anything in that component. It may be visible, but I don't want to click on anything. It's just purely for visualization only. So that way, if I try and click on it, it's not going to put that widget in focus. Then let's get the quest log, grab this out, get the get, and then we'll go ahead. Actually, you know what, I'm just going to go copy this. We're just going to go grab this information again. This time, all I'm going to do, we're going to run this through an array. So for each loop, I'm just going to run this, grab that information, just kind of make this look nice and neat. And then all we do is whatever's in this array, we just want to re-output into our list. So let's go get our tracker list, get this, and then say add item to list. I'm going to connect that to the body, and then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take our element and pass it in. And again, this is the quest array. This is the actual quest. The active quest is so we're potentially passing in a lot more. We can get a lot more information off this object if we wanted to. But we're just going to create a very simple UI. But if you wanted to then add additional things in there to say, what the current objectives are, you could put that in there too. And then you might need to add some refresh component every time the stage to go ahead and refresh this. But that's pretty simple. It's just making sure that that every time you move a stage, you just call the you just go and fire the onUpdate tracker UI, and that can be done from within the quest as it bubbles that up. So, or you could create a bubble up delegate to bubble that up to trigger that. Not a big deal. All right, so I'm just gonna go. Whoops. Let's just make sure that this is in line. I'm just going to copy this again. So if this is false, then I'm just going to say collapse. So we're just going to hide everything. So we're still going to clear it out. We're just going to create an empty widget and just collapse it. So we get we can maximize our visual real estate in the game. All right, and that should do it for all of the code here. So now, once we've got this, we can come over to our tracker widgets. Let's go ahead and build out this little UI. So again, I'm going to use a size box. So I can fix the size, and I'm only going to be overriding again the height. So I'm going to set this to 40. Make sure it takes. And I'm going to say design on screen. So right now, so that's what it's going to look like if it's empty. So now let's go ahead and fill that in. So I'm going to find a horizontal box. So I'm going to just drop the horizontal box in, and then within the horizontal box I'm going to put 2 text boxes and a spacer. Text. And what I'll do is I'll fill out the first one, make this a little bit easier on myself. So here I'm going to use our yellow color. I'm going to make this a asterisk since I want this to kind of be a bullet point. Again, it's just real cheesy, but it works for now. And as far as the size, I'm going to make this 20 so it fits right in. I'm going to center justify it. And I'm going to just center that all up as well so everything stays in line in center. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this. So, since I want to keep nearly everything the same, the only difference here is I'm going to remake this white. And this is going to be... This is going to be the attract quest name. So, this one is just going to stay static, since there's no change there. This one though, we need to make a variable, and I'm just going to use txt quest name. But if you wanted to add some additional things into here, you could then make this a bit bigger if you wanted to, or instead of a fixed size, you could probably take this out and make it variable. Right, and then from there you could then maybe add some additional things in here to kind of push down if you wanted to have a subsection for the current objectives. All that information is on the object that we're passing through. I'm just going to put the track name in there just to show that, just to get the basics working. All right, then the last thing I want to do is get a spacer so that I can space this horizontally. So, and that spacer is just going to be 5. There it is. So put some separation there. You could put some padding in there too if you wanted to. I'm just going to keep it the way it is. Alright, and that. Text. So that all stays the same, that all stays the same. We've made this a variable, so let's go over to the graph and set this up. So once again, first thing I need to do is I need to go to class settings. I'm now going to come down to the interface, add, and I'm going to say user object, because that's the one we want to use, and I'm going to take the other one off since we're just not using it. So we've got that. I can click on the event, so this is the event that we want, and we don't need any of this, so let's just take the pre-construct and everything else out. So this is on setup, so as we're adding, this gets fired as we add to the list box. And so what we're just going to do is we're just going to do this and say cast to core quest object. So that's what we're passing in. So again, there's a lot more information on this that we could then, if we wanted to, create a better widget, but for now we'll just keep it simple. I'm going to take this, I am then going to go say promote the variable, and then from here all I'm going to do is I'm just going to say get get quest track description. So this is coming off the object, and then I'm just going to go grab this guy, say get this, and I'm going to then say set text. We want the function, and then just pass that straight into there. And that should do that. do it for that. So that's the tracking widget. Now if we come back to the tracking widget, if we go to the designer, we can see there it is coming up there because we're using the pre-construct. So the nice thing about pre-construct is you can start to see what it's going to look like roughly, right, when it's getting before we drop it onto the page. All right, so now let's go ahead and go over to our HUD, and we'll drop this into the HUD. Player HUD. So again, this is a component, so let's go ahead and look for WB, and there's our track request. Nope, we don't want this one. We want the track request widget. There it is. Whoop. Now let's go back to our HUD. Track quest widgets. And I'm just going to bring this down to the canvas panel. So there it is. So let's go ahead and set this up. So for this one, let's get the anchors done first. So on this one, I'm going to come up and I'm just going to use the anchor in the upper right corner. So I'm going to hit the left shift key to set that, so that moves the anchor up. But we also need to remove the widget, so I'm going to hit the left control key and do the same thing, and that just automatically moves that up for us. So it's a good starting point. And then from there, we just need to now move this guy into its location. So as far as the X position, I'm going to make this -45, maybe -46. So by making it negative, we're now moving it to the left. If I make it positive, I'm going to move it to the right. So that's like -46. Let's give it a size of, I think we said 400 by 300 on the fixed box. So 400 by 300. So that's what we're going to do there. And the Y position. So Y position again, if I go positive, I'm going to push it down. If I'm going negative, I push it up. If the anchor was on the bottom here, it's just the opposite. So I'm going to run, what, 48, I said. So there it is. So there's our two widgets. And again, they'll only show up when we need them to show up in the UI. If there's anything that we're either wanting to inform the users. So again, this progress widget is using our message queuing, and this is just a simple event-driven tracker. All right, so that should do it for that. So let's see if we can get this running. So I'm just going to go pull this off screen. So we should have everything that we need. So all we need to do is fire this up, bring up the quest log, or add some quests in the quest log, and set the trackers, and then see what happens. All right, so let's go ahead and fire this up. I'm going to hit the plus key, and I'm going to hit the 1 key, which is going to go and load everything up. I'm going to hit track, 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 and track, so you can see all of our things. And there we've got our tracker going, and then as time runs out, it's going to send a message to update our tracker. And as you can see, the three choices and only one. Maybe I might want to use a smaller font for that, but I think for now that looks okay. It's good enough to test everything out. But yeah, so there's the tracker widget. And then if I want to bring up the log and I just click again, I can then untrack it. And so every time the event fires, it just goes ahead and tells it to refresh. And there it is. And then we can just shut the quest log down, and we're good to go. All right. So as always, if you like what I'm doing, feel free to like and share my videos, as well as subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. And I will see you in the next videos. Cheers and have a great day.